All right, ready, guys?
I'm ready. Let's go
All
again.
right, let's do it.
You good, Hannah?
All right.
I was kind of enjoying some of that. All right, sorry.
Come on, now we get to do it again.
Hey, welcome. I'm Chris Lopez, host of the Valley Pod, where we talk to all the interesting people of the San Luis Valley. With us today in our studio on the south side of Alamosa is Corey Hubbard, owner of General Specific Store in Del Norte. Welcome, Corey. It's great to
Hi.
finally meet you and talk to you in person. How are you?
I know, it's about time.
I know I've been, well, like I say, we have been longtime admirers of yours. Well, not long time, a year plus. I've been an admirer of yours since we first heard about the idea of the General Specific Store, and that was back in the summer of 2021. And we were just beginning to think about creating AlamosaCitizen.com, and we were looking for people, for stories who we thought represented what we were seeing as new arrivals, people who are making new contributions to the Valley in my old stomping grounds. And the Valley's a cool, hip place, but we're always wanting it to be a little cooler and hipper, and I'm gonna say you have added to that. So take us back to that beginning of yours, your arrival in the Valley, and now 18 months later, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, your discovery of me was right around the same time I discovered myself, in that I just kind of made this idea up. Like, it was an amazing opportunity to see Del Norte and this building that we fell in love with, that would really house the store. But I just sort of thought, what am I gonna do with myself? Let's just make something up. I have really no retail background. I've just been a connoisseur, a sort of a consumer of said products that I sell, right? All of which is one of a kind. And I just came up with this idea, ran with it, and here we are. I mean, so it's like 50 days after we bought the building.
Well, how did you come up with the name General Specific Store? and you have to tell us too your journey in, because you
Sure.
grew up in Florida. My understanding and recollection is you came from Florida, you traveled in, you were on a road trip, you discovered or found or came into the Valley, found Del Norte, and boom, you said, hey, I'm gonna stop here, I'm gonna open a store, I'm gonna make my life, I'm simplified it there, I'm sure. But how did you do that?
And complicated it as well. How did I do it? Man, I was a post-COVID sort of lost, curious, lost and found, kind of just, what am I gonna do? With my partner at the time, we decided we didn't want to spend the rest of our lives in Florida, or even the rest of the year. We were pretty keen to hit the road.
Where at in Florida were you, and did you grow up?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Tampa Bay on the beaches, central west coast of Florida.
Nice.
I come from a fishing family.
I turned down a job at the Miami Herald one time because I could not take the humidity, the heat of Florida. It was a good paper.
Well, Miami
Herald.
is in Florida, first of all, as you know.
True.
Plus the humidity in Miami is like kind of next level. It's tropical of another ilk.
But that's about my only connection or my only experience really with Florida, was going out there job hunting, getting offered a job at Miami Herald, and saying no, thank you.
And what about year was this?
This would have been 1998, sometime around there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Super fun. Interesting time.
Oh yeah, Miami was a cool place. Covered a Super Bowl in Miami. We're getting
See?
way far off track though, because
But truly we're not, because this is about life-defining decisions. This was something you shopped with, sniffed around. How different my life would have been if any of the places that I was on this road trip had caught me before Del Norte. There were places that prepped me for Del Norte, like Loving This Life, like Haley, Idaho. But the ghost ship that didn't carry you, this little life that wasn't yours, but you can still kind of harken back to it. What could have been.
So you end up in Del Norte from Florida, and you take us there.
Florida to Del Norte, big road trip around the country, big circle. Kind of couldn't decide when to hit Colorado, when to visit this friend who was my Del Norte connection. It's kind of the belly button of the country, like when's the right time. I was in Wyoming and really keen to visit friends in Boulder, this couple who, through family connections, have brought us here. And the forest was on fire in Medicine Bow. I mean, there was huge COVID numbers in Boulder, so we just couldn't get down here. And so then we just kept going in this big circle, worked on a farm in California, kind of combed through the desert, rural, western part of America. And by the time we got to Del Norte, it was like unfolding. Like, oh, you have come home. Like, tick the box, everything I wanted, Del Norte had.
You caught Del Norte on an upswing.
I don't know. It was dark. It was December. It was cold. There was nobody on the streets. I had truly, Chris, had literally no idea what I was getting myself into. And it has been the biggest gift. One of the best decisions I've made in my life. But on accident. And it's been that every day since I made the decision to stay. It's given me, lessons and gifts. And best year of my life, this hardest year of my life, most struggle, most exciting. Because, you open a store in a rural community. A lot of doors swing open and a lot of exciting conversations are had.
Well, that's interesting because you arrive, you show up, you open your store, and you go into business. Never been there, brand new.
Business.
How did people respond both to you and to the store?
I just have been overwhelmed by the warmth of this community, and not just like people are nice. People are bad ass. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, go ahead.
People are just bad to the bone around there. Everybody's got 6 talents. Everybody's doing amazing things. They're not just nice, they're curious and supportive. And I have been overwhelmed by the human beings that I am gifted and privileged to call friends. How they liked my store, I think I was figuring it out right alongside of them. Like I said, you found out about it probably the same time I figured it out, which is hence the name, right? I'm casting a wide net.
Uh-huh.
I was styling it like a general store with the hope that it would fit well into the landscape of the town, and that I could basically do whatever I want, and it would be general and it would be a store. And then I sort of thought down the road, maybe I'd kind of clarify and hence the specific. And hopefully after this year, I will kind of come to a more clarified position. But it's just been every day you walk in the store, it's different. Every week you're in, it's different. Every month, it's totally transformed. We sell a lot, we move a lot, we re-merchandise. It's a business, but I joke it's a rural art project masquerading as a business.
Well, I haven't been in the store. I've been in Del Norte, tried to go in a couple of times, found it closed early on, and I think that was because you were having so much success that you were being challenged with keeping stuff in the store and keeping the store open at the beginning. And then I've seen you do some pretty fun looking, interesting parties in that store. You had a Halloween bash, I recall. You had the governor visit your store. Governor Polis showed up last summer. I'm not sure how you got him in there, but he made a trip specifically to go into that store. Must have heard about it.
Yeah, well, let's just lie of omission. I just won't respond to that.
But the store looks like it's doing really good, but I want you to describe for us, where are you today? How is that store evolving, and how have you evolved in this past year?
Like I said, the store was changing every day. That was part of what was so challenging, is that I would walk downstairs and see just not only the overwhelming beauty and excitement of it, but just the flaws. How can I fix this? How can I optimize it? It had to look perfect all the time, which is, sort of set yourself up for failure there, easy way to burn out. Plus, I had about 15, 20 people on the floor every day, all the time. It was such a challenge to keep up with the demand with the excitement. My hours I wanted to be open every day. I had all these grand visions. And me as an individual, I could just barely manage it. I had some help from my sister and from other members of the community, which I still do to this day. When the governor came, I sort of sent out the bat signal, and people come out of the woodwork to support me. It's been incredible. But I definitely struggled. I had a lot going on personally, learning a lot about the business. But I just tell everyone, if you're considering opening a business in this valley, prepare yourself. Do not listen to the naysayers. Everybody I spoke to, I tell you, it was dark, it was quiet. December was not Del Norte at its best, and everybody told me I was gonna be sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And if I just shouldn't have listened to them, right? That's
not even been close to the truth.
No, it's been an overwhelming shock of true, it's not even like technical success, right? Like, I've had bad months. I've struggled. I'm a rural retail store selling secondhand goods in a town of roughly 1,200 people. I'm not rolling in the dough, but I'm making a living, and I'm having an incredible time doing it. It's such a privilege.
What do you think the key to that has been? I mean, you open the store, you're successful, you're finding people coming in. What do you attribute that success to so far? And then I want you to describe Del Norte, Del Norte you
favorite
have
subject.
discovered, or the Del Norte you found that you moved into.
Everything good that happens to us, it's so rarely, assigned to truly our work or our talent. It's often luck and time and place, and I think that my success can be attributed to a supply and demand curve that's very good for people that start businesses, because there's an extraordinary amount of demand in the valley. When I opened in summer of 2021, anyone else in the country can attest. I mean, people were like zombies, bumbling out of their cars, pockets bulging with cash, like, please, what do you have that I can buy? Everybody just wanted to spend. And it was an unbelievable summer that I wished, like I said, I was prepared for. But the success, I think, is a true demand, because there's a lot of people moving to this extraordinary area. This landscape that continues to inspire me every day is remarkable to live in. Then they get to know the people. Then they see that they can have just really kind of all of the things you need in life. So the growth post-COVID of the area, having a kind of a unique presentation. I don't have a typical store, right? Everything is sourced secondhand. Everything's one of a kind. Nothing is priced, right? I don't have price tags dangling off of everything, because my intention with the space was to be a place you could come, spend time, enjoy, be inspired aesthetically, spend time without kind of the pressure to spend money, get to know people, have important conversations. I just was really in touch with mostly the aesthetics of the space. Like I said, it was an art project fundamentally. Which has been difficult. People don't like not having price tags.
Right. You feel. I've been into some of those stores, and you feel kind of, I wonder how much that is. So you go up and just.
Let me tell you this, because this is kind of interesting, and maybe you'll kind of call me on this if you don't really like it, or some people do. But it's essentially, I wanted to be able to. I had no idea who my customers were going to be.
Right.
I understand the socioeconomic status of the valley, or the average income. I mean, like, you can't compare Oklahomans and Texans to local Del Nortians, and you shouldn't.
Right.
And yet we do have extremely successful people that live in Del Norte, people that can't, but those people aren't in Del Norte to shop at my store.
How much of a risk did you think you were taking, or how much of a risk were you willing to take?
Okay, don't let me get off track about my price tag stuff.
My risks.
I feel very risk averse. Like, I don't ski, I don't hike, I don't ice climb, I don't mountain bike, mountain rock climb. I mean, come on. No, I like to keep my feet on the ground. I like to keep coffee in my hand, and I like to talk about real estate and people and stories. I'm not risking my body. But this place there was no downside, right? The store was designed around my lifestyle. It was designed around who I am, what makes me the happiest, what I'm the best at. So if I failed colossally, I would do it having a good time. And
so part of that is no prices.
Oh, back to the economic path.
Yeah.
So I hold myself to a very high standard. It's very difficult to live inside my brain. It's that I have to be right. I have to be creatively excelling. Like, I have to be my most authentic, creative, artistic self. And I also have to succeed in business, and I have to make money, and I have to sort of look good on paper. I'll let you guess which one I succeed at more. However, I wanted to cater to every consumer that stepped in. I wanted my store to be about something for everyone. I wanted, a multi-generational family with not a huge amount of income and a bunch of kids to be able to come in. And, I buy low so I can give stuff away. I wanted to cater to the wealthy Texans and to the locals. And then price tags would price each other out. And then I couldn't get, the top dollar from our visitors that they deserve to be charged, if you know what I mean. Hope you're not listening.
How do you find what you're putting in your store? That's got to be an interesting hunt that you're always on, looking for those items.
Yet another gift of this location that I have chosen. It's half of my joy in gifts is the front of when I get it home, I dust it off if you're lucky.
Keep it.
I always joke the dirt and the dust is free, but it's merchandise that's in the store is forward facing. I get to see the consumer and get to know them. But half that joy has been going on the road. I have seen this state backwards, forwards, north, south, east, west, because I just drive. I pack trailers. I get on Facebook Marketplace. I get to know estate sale people. I get to know fellow hoarders, you know, and all of which have become friends in one way or another. Dear, dear, dear friends all across the state. So the gift that keeps on giving.
The hunt for the things in your store sounds pretty cool, pretty fun to go do that. Let me ask you about the valley. What parts of the valley have you not been to yet in the almost 2 years, 18 months, whatever it is that you set up home here? Where have you not been in the valley, if anywhere?
What is it? Alberta Peak or something? What's the top of Wolf Creek? I mean, come on. I've not been on the top of Wolf Creek.
But otherwise, you've been in all the little towns, you traveled through. Do you feel like you understand, or do you feel like the valley is home, or is it Del Norte in the western end of the valley?
Oh, good question. I've definitely been most places, right? Let's see, I haven't spent a ton of time in Sanford. I haven't been through
You should go to Sanford.
Right, like, okay, like I'm more familiar
They have
with
a
the
really
western
cool
side.
museum in Sanford.
Ooh, love a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of work to do in the southern part of the valley.
Okay.
But I consider the valley my home. I treat it like it's this kind of big brother. Del Norte's like my partner, my man, my thing. But this valley, what the heck? I always am rattling off statistics about 6 counties, only 2 of which was stoplights.
When you're talking to friends, you're talking to family back in Florida, or somewhere else that isn't in Colorado, and you're describing your life now in Del Norte in the San Luis Valley, what do you tell them? How do you describe where you are and where we are in the valley? How do you describe that to the outside world of yours?
Okay, I have a very diverse friend group, so every conversation's different. Some of which aren't really curious in that this doesn't reflect their lifestyle whatsoever. They're going to want to know more about the business or things personal, friends and whatnot, or maybe they're just kind of like, wow, I can't believe you moved to the middle of nowhere. How cool for you. So what do you think about this other child? You know, like we're friends, right? I am very much in the business of pitching my community to my dearest friends, right? The family friends, the friends that are like family, because I want them to come here and buy property and create the village, the commune, this community that we all as Americans fantasize about, and yet we continue to move into the burbs with our boxes and this and that. But this is what Del Norte's about, is the community. So I'm pitching hard to people both that I love the most and that I know have the means and the intelligence to come here and do something similar to either what I'm doing or what you're doing. I'm always recruiting, be recruiting, as well as always be sourcing. So I'm like thinking of people to invite and to beg to move here, and I'm thinking of cool shit to put in my store. Now, how I describe this place varies. I mean, this is one of the most magical places I've been maybe in the world. I've been all over the world. I've traveled extensively, 30 plus countries, been really privileged to just throw a backpack on and, hunt around the world. I am living in a place that breaks so many norms, is so appealing to so many people, is truly naturally astounding. And then you have so much opportunity. People don't see, the valley as a real economic powerhouse.
Right.
But if you're smart and you're willing to work hard, like I said, buckle up, watch out. And so I'm always wanting to have those conversations, but it's beautiful, it's fun, it's clean, it's nice, it's calming, and the community is so good.
Very cool, very cool. Hey, we're talking to Corey Hubbard. This is the Valley Pod. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're talking to Corey Hubbard. She's the owner-operator of the General Specific store in far west end of Del Norte. As you're going through, you're on the far west end, right? On the north side of the highway.
Correct.
Yeah.
Across the police station and the liquor store.
Yeah. So we were talking about...
You're not going to go with me there? You don't want to know about what it's like?
No, I don't want to talk about police station. We were talking about some of your adjustments, really, because that takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage, I think.
Thank you.
For someone to do what you did, which was you're on a road trip, you're coming from Florida, you're traveling around the US, you're trying to figure things out, and you pop into Del Norte. You find a realtor, you find a property, you open the general specific store. Just like it, and it seemed to happen.
No realtor.
No realtor. So you had a friend there. But seriously, that takes a lot of courage and confidence, I think, in yourself to be able to pull that off. And it sounds like you have or are pulling it off. That you found a home, you found a community you really enjoy, you found a passion, you had Am I right about all of this? Where are you?
Oh, yes. I don't know about the confidence, but definitely the passion and definitely the community. I think I got you fooled, but at the same time, don't we all have each other fooled?
So where do you think you are? And where is the general specific store going? What's in the store? What's in plans?
Well, I just want to go back to the part about courage and confidence in the decision. Previous to meeting your wife and being happily married, do you recall a time going on a date where you really hoped it was going to work out? I mean, maybe when you met your wife, like, you ever kind of go into a situation, just beg, please, please make this be the one, make this work for me? Any relations there?
No.
Okay.
But I've made, I'll tell you a quick story. I've said this to Hannah, who works for us, and she's here today, and she's recording this, and this was the biggest moment of my life. A single father. My daughter's in 4th grade. I was getting heavily recruited as a journalist. And in that time in the 90s, they were throwing money at you, including signing bonuses. And I had very good job offers. I'm working at the Denver Post. I'm 39 years old. I'm a single father. I'm raising my daughter. And I have a great job offer in the Bay Area of California. And I want to take it. I'd already turned down jobs in Arizona, elsewhere, because I wasn't ready to leave, and I didn't know if I could leave Colorado with my daughter. But I made that decision to move to California, the two of us, when she was 10 years old. And I remember that conversation very clearly, and I'm telling myself, I'm saying, Chris, you're 39. You're getting recruited all over by all these companies. If you don't take a job offer now, you're going to stay in Colorado the rest of your life. You never know what else was out there. 39, I said, jump. But I had a parachute because I had a really good job in front of me. But I also had my 10-year-old daughter. We loaded up the truck, went to California. And that was the biggest jumping I ever did in my life. Because I had no idea. Didn't know about who I had in California, didn't have any support there. But the job was cool and I wanted the opportunity, so we took it. Believing in ourselves. That sounds, you've been there, right?
Well, sometimes it's not a decision, sometimes, and then it can be really painful. Like the really smart people say, hard decisions, easy life, easy choices, tough life.
Yeah.
But I think it's just really kind of, the step you take. I mean, think of this foil character this decision has been for you in this life, right? What it's taught you. And now you know what it was like out there, and now you're back.
Well, and I got married again. And I found my wife there in California, and now I brought her all the way back.
Oh, geez. Well, the decision keeps on, the gift keeps on giving.
Keeps paying off.
So it was a date that worked out for you, the Bay Area.
So you understand, though, parachuting and jumping off a cliff.
Man, do I. My dad likes to say in our family, particularly my dad and his ilk, kind of dig yourself a hole, jump in, and you'll dig yourself out. That was kind of how I started this business.
Well, let me ask you this. When did it truly hit you what you had done? That you moved away, that you settled into a foreign place really to you. You opened a store on the main drag of a little town. How has that changed your life?
It's probably the day that I filed for divorce from the person I moved here with, and knew I was gonna not only be jumping into a hole, but an even deeper hole without a man on my side to help build fires in the wintertime. That's when it became pretty real, and it became, Del Norte has been tested, so I always like to say I wax poetic, I have rose-colored glasses, Del Norte's the only one for me and all the towns in the valley. But my feelings about this decision have been tested by, difficulties and sort of the question, like, is this really what you want? I do have a lot of friends in other vocations, in other states, very different people living very different lives, so I have a lot of kind of that feedback of, there's a lot out there. You could always leave. you know, there's, you could always do, you could always this, and I'm just very grounded here. My feet are very firmly planted, and I've had a lot of opportunities to cut and run.
And you've got an investment now though too, right? You've made an investment.
Oh please, I love blowing money, blowing time, and then jumping into new things.
Gotcha.
No problem. You can't throw good money after bad. You know, if something's not working, it's not working. My feedback mechanism is tight, right? I'm ready to listen to something teaching me a different thing. But this has been consistently a yes for me since the day I got here. In fact, the yes has been louder, more vociferous. I mean, I'm just really happy here.
So it sounds like you're planting some roots. I'm not sure how deep those are yet, but it sounds like Corey Hubbard is planting some roots here, and you seem like you're having a good time.
I'm having a hoot. Yeah, roots take many forms. Single woman in a place that, you know, I'm learning about what it means to manage land and build structures and make sure your sewer pipes don't burst. And every single day living here is like drinking from a fire hose. I'm learning about what it's like to run cattle, to grow food. I mean, not actually, because my hands are soft and clean. I'm learning through my friends and all their hard work. I was telling you about some of these dinner parties and the opportunities I've had to host people at my home and at my store. And the other night I had a great little gathering of women. My friend Sophia, who runs a ranch in Antonito, then a couple other women, ranchers, potato farmers in the valley, all women. And in walks the state ag commissioner, Kate
Greenberg.
Just a wonderful, warm person. Like, I'm so glad to be here. And I'm looking at all these human beings. She's like, how'd you meet everybody? But I thought about it, and it was all my store. Some connection through my store. But I'm privileged enough to be able to break bread with these people, these women. I mean, this valley is home to a lot of bad bitches.
That is,
you know
there is. We have some that work for us.
Feminine, yeah, extraordinary energy. It's been a
I agree with that, and I'm glad you said that because you're right about that. But I want to ask you this: what do you have in store next? Because you seem like someone that is looking to continue to evolve what you're currently doing, and the General Specific store seems to be a good example of that. What's in store for you next with that store and any other projects that you have going in Del Norte?
I can only point to sort of consistent themes, which is what I said is why there was no risk to starting this business. Is it was formed around my lifestyle, what I love, what I'm good at, and not much else. So what I will be involved in, I hope so my passions are twofold. Like I said, I have to be a perfect artist, a creative, deep, expressive person, and I have to also be a rabid capitalist. I have to buy real estate, and I have to grow and be independently wealthy, so I might have children someday, or just, so I'm gonna be involved with beautiful, interesting, undervalued, underappreciated real estate. That's where I will be. You will always catch me kind of, look at that thing, like this broken down building. I'm like a crazy person, you know, hauling a big old suitcase and mumbling to myself, you know, throughout Del Norte. I'm like taking pictures of piles of tumbleweed and things like that. Because I just think there's there's growth coming here, and we need to be ready for it. I joke that like we should be burning the patchouli in Del Norte so the Texans keep driving to South Fork, because we have to get ahead of the growth. We have to know what's coming. We have to really be ready to give a home to all this energy. So I'll be involved with interesting real estate projects and breaking bread with interesting people, creating with food and beverage, creating with art, creating with home design. I'd love to leverage my store into doing more design work, which I've been getting little opportunities here and there. Commercial design, you know, you got a coffee shop, you love what you do, but you just don't have the time and energy to design a space.
Where does your art background come from? Because you talk about art, you talk about creating, your store is a piece of art, you see things out there that you discover and find, and you clean it up and you present that. Where does that come from?
Stuff, property, men. I'm a real fixer-upper type. I don't know. I don't have any other word for it. I don't really think I'm technically, you know, I don't have a medium. I'm not a technical artist, right? But there's just, I'm drawn to those who do. I want to support them. I want to live near them. I want to be in buildings and in parks and in places where they live and where they thrive. So I don't know. it's a curation energy, if it's a sort of a supportive, like kind of like I'm a good fangirl, I'm a good cheerleader. But it's just being a conduit for beautiful things. If I can improve the world, it's about giving a stage and a microphone like you do to people that are doing cool stuff. And I'm proud to be their friends or their peers. And this ranch I bought, I call it a ranch, by the way, because I'm a Floridian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm allowed to appropriate local culture. Okay, so it's a piece of land, and I'm gonna hopefully have a structure that is impenetrable to outside forces, hopefully soon, particularly mice and cold weather. And then that will immediately be a place I can host and show and be and give opportunities for musicians, for artists, installations. Wow. I don't know what it is. But
I think it's really cool to have you here in the Valley with us. And there are other really cool people that have showed up here recently, but you're definitely, it's nice to have people like you.
Thanks, Chris.
Show up,
back at ya.
Make a contribution, want to be here. And I think that's the key. Want to be here versus I have to be here, or I grew up here, and you want to be here. I want to be here. Deeply. We see something that's special then. And we were just talking to Ted Conover, who wrote the book Cheap Land, Colorado.
I just read that article.
And Ted and I were talking about the Valley is still a story unfolding. And
So
I
beautiful.
think you're
So
part
true.
of that story, Corey. I think you and others like you who have come into the Valley to make a contribution because you fell in love with the place. You saw something special here from the outside. You're part of that story that's evolving in the San Luis Valley.
And I think it's evolving in rural areas throughout Colorado, throughout the country. I think we all have this opportunity to be a part of an unfolding story, one that's a little off kilter that we didn't maybe expect. But man, is there so much beauty in this country undiscovered, and what a humble opportunity to be a part of something bigger than myself, right? Like, this was not about me when I got here. Like I said, I was just trying to do something to have a life. But then a coffee shop opened, an organic grocery store opened, a local caterer moved in and started making burritos on the street corner, and everyone has come together to embrace us. And so, we're growing. Beware. A lot more is coming to Del Norte. A young lawyer just bought a building. It's going to open as a young female, first-generation Korean lawyer bought a business or a building on Main Street. For me, you asked me about the evolving nature of this path, and I am smack dab in the middle of the biggest transition since the moment I stepped foot in Del Norte. I really don't have a clue. I got some pretty good clues.
Yeah.
I had a phone call with a banker the other day, and okay, Corey, we're going to need a business plan. It's like, we're going to need your ideas to reflect on paper. So I got a lot of spinning plates. I got a lot of really exciting things. And I'm at, once again, shopping for the opportunity to go full bore and give my full effort to something.
That's a cool place to be in, because so many people today in 2022 looking forward, so many people are afraid.
You think?
Yeah, and you're not. You see,
Chris,
you're
I
like
am.
seizing
Come
the
on.
moment, seizing the opportunities that are existing.
I cope with speed. I cope with I might look competent, but this is my mask.
Well,
I'm deeply afraid. We all are.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But I think there's true fear out there in terms of people not sure and where things are going.
Oh, because the recession and the interest
But I
rates.
don't think that's where you are, neither am I.
Well, I'm tired of those naysaying voices.
Me too.
They're so wrong.
Before we let you go, and we've enjoyed talking to you, and it's a great chat, but before we do that, before we let you go on, what's the holidays coming up for you? What are you planning? Do you have any plans at the General Specific store, or what are any of your plans as we go into the holiday season?
I got a great text from the chamber today. They want to plan a Christmas party. Last year, I was really proud. Last year, I had the first party of the season for Halloween, for Christmas. Earlier, the better. Get it out of the way. So we're throwing something together for the chamber. My birthday's coming up, so hopefully.
Happy birthday.
Then Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, come on. It'll be breaking bread with everybody locally. If nobody has any Thanksgiving plans, call me, because I've got a place.
All right.
And New Year's, gosh,
we're
there's
going
always
into-
something happening.
We're going into a really cool part of the season with the holidays coming up. And I've seen some of the parties that you've thrown over there at the General Specific store. We're going to have to make it to one of those. Hey, you've been listening to the Valley Pod and our episode with Corey Hubbard. Whenever you're in Del Norte, you really should pop into the General Specific store, say hello to Corey. The Valley Pod is produced by Angel Rodriguez and is part of the AlamosasCitizen.com podcast lineup. We'll see you around the Valley.